It's unfortunate that this is the world that we are now living in, where some people want to forget history, where some people want to weaponize the results or the fruits of what has been done. And we see time and time again where white people suddenly take a stance and claim that black people maybe haven't worked hard for what they have. They tend to humanize poverty. But I feel like the videos that you're going to watch will explain this better. So let's just dive in. I always say I am a student of life. So I'm learning as we go, and I'm learning with you guys. That's why I do what I do. Okay, let's dive in. Hi there, my name is Janita. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe. As you can see, I'm in the car. I'm sorry about that. That will change soon. Let's dive in.
Hi, I'd like to rock the boat a bit and talk about some historical fears that white people have. You see, my grandmother once told me, only a thief thinks everyone is a thief. I used to think that she was just talking about shady neighbors, but now I realize she was talking about white societies. Let's talk about the truth. When a black person walks into a shop, who follows them? Who suddenly becomes hyper alert? Who appears out of nowhere to help, but only trails and never actually helps? That's not paranoia, it's racial profiling. That's projection and born from an unhealed history. Where does this deep suspicion of black people actually come from? Who taught you that we are dangerous by default? Let's go deeper. The theft of people kidnapped from Africa, bought and sold and branded. The theft of our lands through colonization and occupation. The theft of our cultures, artifact, still held hostage in your museums. The theft of innovation and labor, rewritten, repackaged, rebranded. And most damning of all, you created a system to protect the stolen goods. Let's talk about the police. Do you know that the modern day police force in the US and everywhere else has its roots in slave patrols? Yes, organized groups tasked with hunting down enslaved Africans who dared to seek freedom. Their job was to track, capture, and return black bodies to their captors. This is the foundation. So when you see police racially profiling black people today, stopping us for looking suspicious, kneeling on our necks, shooting us in traffic stops, it's not a glitch, it's a feature. It is a system doing what it was designed to do. And unless you've studied this history and consciously began to unlearn it, you carry it. You inherit it through media, through silence, through normalized suspicions. So I ask again, have you ever stopped to reflect on why you feel entitled to police black bodies? Have you ever truly questioned why your museums are full of stolen goods and yet you label us as thieves? Have you ever unpacked how your fear isn't born from anything we've done, but from what your history refuses to face? Only a thief thinks everyone is a thief. Your project your ancestors' crimes onto our existence and then build laws and securities to validate your fears. From shop detectives to Code Serena, to border checks to armed police in schools, and it's the same script, policing black people to protect whiteness. And when there is no threat, just projection, just fear, just history repeating itself. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Why are you not? We are not your revenge fantasies. We are not the ones coming to take. We are the ones still surviving what was taken from us. So instead of saying not all white people, ask, when did I start seeing blackness as something that needs control? What would it take for me to no longer assume guilt in someone else's skin? What healing have I avoided to keep me projecting instead of progressing? Only a thief thinks everyone is a thief. Until you reckon with what was stolen, until you unlearn the lies you were fed to protect that theft, you will continue to see black people not as human beings, but as shadows of your own unhealed gift. You are not in danger. You are the reflection, and it is time you finally take a look. White societies are not just built on land, they were built on theft.
Child, you ever notice that when someone talks about welfare or a welfare queen, the picture that pops up in their head is a black woman with a bunch of kids? Yeah, that image didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was engineered. Back in the 1970s, Ronald Reagan, in all his glory, built his whole campaign on a lie. Sound familiar? He told stories about a so-called welfare queen in Chicago. He said she drove a Cadillac, had 80 names, and was scamming the government out of thousands. Sound familiar? That woman did exist, but not like he told it. Instead of dealing with her as one case, Reagan used that image to paint all poor black women as lazy, greedy, and criminal. It was a political strategy. He knew exactly what he was doing. By making black people the face of welfare, they got white working class voters to turn their anger away from billionaires and toward their own neighbors. Does this sound familiar? Meanwhile, the truth never changed. White Americans have always been the largest group receiving government assistance. But because of that lie, poor white folks started voting against their own interests, baby, fighting to destroy the same programs they benefit from. That's the trick of America. Make you believe your struggle is someone else's fault, so you never question who's really holding the power. And baby, it ain't poor black folks. The welfare queen, she wasn't real, but the damage she caused, that was the point. Divide, distract, and keep the poor fighting while the rich cash in. That's the real hustle. So black people, drink your water. Stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable. And mind your black business. Happy Black History 365. And I'll see you next time. Child, let's be real. The stereotype of the welfare queen, she never died. She just got rebranded. When a white mother in Ohio struggles to feed her kids, it's called the working class struggle. When a black mother in Baltimore does the same thing, it's called welfare dependency. And she needs to just work a little harder. When white folks lose their jobs in small towns, it's called an economic crisis in middle America. When black folks lose their jobs in the city, it's called crime, laziness, or broken homes. And they just need to work a little harder. Baby, same poverty, different language. Because America still decides who deserves empathy and who deserves blame. That's how systemic racism hides in plain sight. And baby, we do it to our own. White America changes the headlines, but keeps the hierarchy. White poverty, baby, it gets a documentary. Black poverty gets a police report, or worse. And the sad part, it's still working. The same playbook from the Reagan era: divide poor people by race, make them fight each other for scraps, while billionaires rob the table clean. Poverty isn't a personal failure. It's a policy choice. And until we stop believing their lies, really stop believing their lies, we'll keep blaming each other for a problem they created. America is the textbook definition of throw a rock and hide your hand. So no, the welfare queen, she didn't die. She just got rebranded and whitewashed, of course. Y'all stay safe out there. So black folks, drink your water, stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable, and mind your black business. Happy Black History 365, and I'll see you next time.
The most painful aspect about living in this really fucking stupid ass country is this: how many misconceptions about the poor there are. How many people are willing to live off of stereotypes and hearsay rather than the goddamn truth? And I find it funny that when it comes to the poor, the misconceptions you have, they got to live with. They have to own. It is imperative on them to prove your bullshit wrong, not the other way around. But when it comes to the rich and the powerful and the connected, it doesn't even matter. It don't even matter. No matter how much truth you talk about, when it comes to the oligarchs, dumbass people won't listen, but they'll damn sure come and kick on the fucking poor, because why the fuck not? I think about that woman eating that fucking toast, talking about what did y'all do with October's food stamps. And I looked at that woman and the deadness in her fucking eyes, and I realized right then and there, she has no fucking idea, does she? I need y'all to understand something. Whatever lie or misconception you have about poor people is yours. If you're not willing to actually do any sort of looking and research, it is not imperative on poor working people to prove your fucking hypothesis right or wrong. It isn't. Like, for example, the welfare queen trope and stereotype. Why was that foisted on black women? I will never understand. I will never understand. Considering the fact that white people being the majority in this country also means that they would be the majority in a lot of things. For example, being on government assistance. And to follow that up, the biggest welfare queen that I know of right now is Elon Musk. How much government subsidies and government contracts have gone into his fucking pocket? Without the federal government buying or giving anything to Elon Musk, that son of a bitch would not be who he is today. A ketamine addict who y'all think is the fucking genius. But the black woman, A, has to carry your stereotype. B, you're ignoring the fucking working poor. And C, you're sucking this motherfucker off. Why do the poor and destitute have to prove that they are not what you say they are? And the rich never have to prove that they are or aren't who we say they are. It is easy for you to find out who gets more in government assistance. Rich oligarchs or poor fucking working people. But the demonization of poor people, it goes hand in hand with every fucking thing else. See, some of y'all are pussy. Straight bitch made. Bitch assness. And why do I say that? Because you'd rather punch down than ever even look about punching up. And for those who want to say, well, we're just not informed. Motherfucker, you live in the most information savvy time in American fucking history. You can look these things up. You can look how much it costs you in your check per year for government assistance like food stamp, TANF, and WIC, and how much you are giving up out of your paycheck every fucking year for tax subsidies for billionaire corporations. But you choose not to. But you'll listen to drunk asses like Joe Redden, who literally wants to shit on the poor. He is a perfect fucking example of what I'm talking about. Y'all can look these things up. You can. The biggest recipients of government assistance in the United States are Caucasian people. Now, am I knocking them for that? No. Because we also live in a country where things can skyrocket in price, gas can skyrocket in price, but your fucking paycheck stays stagnant. The largest redistribution of wealth in history is happening and has been happening for 20, 30 years now. But sure, a poor white woman or a poor black woman buying ground beef rather than gruel somehow sets your ass off. You don't want access to our money, but you have no problem giving it to a fucking oligarch, now do you? And these misconceptions persist because nobody wants to do the motherfucking work of finding out whether or not any of that shit is true. They don't. You people who seem to believe that you one day will be like the millionaire class, you won't. The game is rigged, stupid. And people who are scamming other people out of money are the only motherfucking ones that benefit from this shit. Y'all have listened to propaganda about the poor for so long, you can't distinguish myth from fact. And who has to bear the burden of your lack of education? The poor. Why? Why? They already have enough hard of a fucking life as it is. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should be taking better care of our fucking citizenry. And if that means they ass gets government assistance, so fucking what? I'm tired of watching my tax dollars go to blow up some fucking country. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of my tax dollars being used on the largest army or the largest navy, the most expensive air force and shit like that for wars who will be fought by people who, when they do come home looking for something like, medical insurance till the tomb, there's always somebody who's going to be like, you pull yourself out by your bootstraps. Some of these fucking people are dealing with the worst types of PTSD known to man. But sure, put them out in the workforce so that they too can be a wage slave like your dumb ass is. I come from working class. My mother was a working class woman. She worked 2 and sometimes 3 jobs, to be honest with you, because she did work on the weekends to feed us. And yes, I was raised on food stamps. I was raised on Section 8. My mother did not get welfare. She did not get TANF. She didn't get any of that. But we were raised on Section 8 and food stamps. And my mother did the best she fucking could. And I commend her and every other woman, black, white, or otherwise, who is doing the exact same fucking thing. I am tired of watching people demonize poor people as if somehow by you kicking down on people who are already at the bottom rung of society, somehow is going to get you closer to these fucking oligarch, Learjet sniffing motherfuckers. And it won't. You're just an easy fucking foot soldier. You spread their propaganda better than they can. Elon Musk doesn't have to ever have to stand up and justify getting tax subsidies because you dumbasses do it. And some of y'all are in the same straits, in the same dire straits as those working class people that you keep shitting on. You have vices just like everybody else. Drug abuse, alcoholism, violence in the home. You've seen shit. You've heard shit. You've watched people do horrible fucking things, try to survive in this fucking country. And your idea is to kick down and not up. And I'm telling you, it's because you're a pussy. It's because you are straight bitch made. You know you will never be one of these oligarch motherfuckers, but you feel like if you take up water for them, they'll somehow notice you. And do what with you? Y'all, I love hearing, well, I can't even go into a black neighborhood because it's violent. Try to go into a country club. Try to get your fucking working class, shitty boots, asphalt laying ass into Mar-a-Lago. Go ahead. See how that works out for you. Try to get into some of these gated fucking communities. See how that works. Y'all are sitting around telling people who are on SNAP and TANF and WIC and food stamps that they need to work harder. And the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is hooking up with a bunch of oligarchs and billionaire tech companies to build basically what amounts to a fucking ballroom that Marie Antoinette would look at and go, wow, that's a lot. That's way too much. Your hypocrisy is disgusting. You know what working class looks like. It's black, it's brown, it's native, it's gay. And you know for a fucking fact that there's not a person on food stamps today that can do more damage to you and your bottom line than those motherfuckers with the goddamn yachts with another yacht in it. But you're too pussy to say anything to them because you just want to be like them. You never will be. You'll always be down here with us. Maybe you should fight up instead of down.
If you are white and you don't know what redlining is, this is a very important video for you and you need to buckle up. Redlining is the reason why you have mostly black neighborhoods and mostly white neighborhoods. Why in black neighborhoods you see that they're disproportionately affected by poverty. So this started with the Homeowners Loan Corporation in the 1930s. So picture a map where some areas are green and some are red. So the green areas is where they said, okay, we can provide loans to them. and government-backed mortgage assistance. Now, the red was considered hazardous. They were cut off from mortgage insurance and loans. Guess what neighborhoods were the ones in the red? Predominantly black and people of color. So what this did was made it almost impossible to buy, sell, and refinance their homes. So essentially, they were trapped where they were. So in these green, predominantly white areas, they were able to grow in wealth. So the focus wasn't on the redlined areas. They weren't taking care of these areas. They weren't upkeeping them. So this led to the devaluation of the redlined areas. You literally have a system that allows white people to prosper, to accumulate wealth, while literally forcing black people to remain where they are, ensuring that it is extremely hard for them to succeed. It was only in the 1930s, okay? The effects exist today. You have generational wealth and generational poverty, generational home ownership, and generational lack of home ownership. To this day, you still have racist realtors, you still have racist home buyers that don't want to buy homes from black people. Black people experience discrimination when they are applying for a job. They get paid less in general for the same job as their white counterpart. If you're a white person that's like, oh, black people only make up 13% of the population, but there's such a disproportionate amount of crimes that they commit. Listen, when people are disproportionately affected by poverty, they're going to disproportionately experience crime. It's not a black, white, or brown thing. Where you have poverty, you have higher rates of crime. It's literally as simple as that. The color of somebody's skin doesn't make them inherently bad. What do? We get rid of the generational wealth gap. We support black businesses. We talk about race. We call out racism. We speak truth. If you have a racist employer, you don't work for them. The second they open their mouth and say who they are, the second you notice that they're denying black people or people of color jobs, that all of the employees around you are your race, you say, why am I going to enable this? You see that they're being treated unfairly, that they're underpaid. You speak up, and if something doesn't change, you leave. Use your white privilege. When white people speak up, when they use their voice that they're so scared to use, that's when we see change. And until then, you are just an enabler. Silence is compliance. Silence is violence.
Once you start doing a deep dive and actually looking up and understanding these statistics, you will see that white people are some of the biggest hypocrites ever. Let's take black on black crime, for example. Historically, 85% of all white murders are done by another white person. For black people, it's around 88%, so it's not that much off. Now, we can talk about sex crimes such as rape and stuff like that, right? They make up nearly 70%. God damn. And I love how they try to fear monger against black people. Oh, we're violent, we're this and that. Listen, don't worry about us unaliving y'all. Worry about them drugs. Bro, they account for nearly 70% of drug overdoses since like 2015. Like, this shit's crazy, but they try to put the blame on us. No, bro, I know statistics. They can't hit me with that, bro.
Alright guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and please make sure you subscribe and follow me on all my socials at Journey Tamara. Till next time, bye.